Welcome back. I'm Dan Matheson. Glad you're with us. That was quite a night last night. The results started coming in more than 24 hours ago. 24 states up for grabs for the people who would be president of the United States. Still no clear winner on the Democratic side. By the end of Super Tuesday, Hillary Clinton had won the big states. She won New York, California, even Massachusetts, despite the Kennedy clan's support of Barack Obama. But Obama took just about everything in between, with very strong support in the South, the Midwest. He even won Alaska. So what does this mean for the two candidates and the two campaigns? In Chicago, we're joined now by the host of Political Update, Paul Lisnek, who was with us yesterday, and in Washington, political analyst from George Mason University, Solon Simmons, also with us yesterday. And it was fun, gentlemen, yesterday talking about what was going on and what we expected to happen, but now we've seen what have happened. Tell us how you react to what happened yesterday. Can we start with you, Paul?
Sure. Well, you know, in the United States, at least with regard to Barack and Hillary, we're no further along now than we were yesterday. What people, I think, have to look at, and Canadians watching this race, have to remember, it is not states that elect these people. It is delegates. And so while Barack has more states now than Clinton does, Hillary actually has more delegates than Barack. And so as they move forward...
Okay, Paul, while you're talking, you know what? We're going to put up a graphic. We actually have that.
All right.
We'll just show the folks at home what this graphic looks like. Hillary Clinton has 818 delegates at this moment. Barack Obama, 730. And 2,025 needed to win. So it's not exactly a dead heat, but boy, it's close, huh?
It sure is. And there's something else really weird in the U.S., which is there's something called superdelegates. People who are elected officials, party people, who get to vote for whoever they want, don't have to declare who they're voting for, but those that have, Hillary is winning in that category, which makes it very fascinating walking forward because there's all this Barack movement in this country, but technically Hillary could win on the delegates, and won't it be interesting if down the line at the convention you're faced with Hillary having the winning number of delegates, but all of this Barack energy going on in the country? How does the country feel at that point? It's going to be tough.
Solon?
Yeah, I think that the Democratic race turned out we don't know much more now on Wednesday night than we did on Monday night, which is a little frustrating. I suppose we've got a few more pieces of information. On the Republican side, we're pretty sure it's John McCain now. There's still some openings, but the big surprise there is the Mike Huckabee factor. And what that Huckabee factor tells us, I think, is it tells us that there's a simmering class conflict in the Republican side, and it's what we call populism, insurgent, and it's between the social conservatives and the economic conservatives. And it's not a happy marriage between those two. It's only history that's brought those together, and a lot of art and work on the part of ideologues. So that tension is there. And Huckabee speaks for those social conservatives. So you know, he sticks through and he wins a few states. He's not out yet. And I think that the answer that we have to that is not popular yet. Well, the answer we have is John McCain. John McCain is his answer is to project American power in the world. And that binds together those two factions, and I think eventually people will calm down, the Rush Limbaughs will accept it, but they're not going to be happy, I think, in any way.
Well, if we can give John McCain the tip right now in the grand old party, let's talk about going forward in the Democrats. Sure. Paul, what do these two candidates have to do to gain the upper hand?
Well, part of it, Dan, you had in that clip up front, it's that each has to appeal to the candidates the other one is appealing to. Georgia was a very interesting contest to watch because Barack Obama doing well with African Americans, not doing so well in the white community until yesterday. It's generally thought that he's got to reach at least 40% of whites if he's going to pull off a general election. And in Georgia, he reached 43%. So the point being, he's got some momentum. He still needs to work on the Latino group. He's not doing very well with Latinos yet, but yesterday he also did very well with women. I mean, he's tapping into Hillary Clinton's base somewhat, and he's got money. You know, he raised and reported that he raised over $30 million, I believe, last month alone. Hillary Clinton raised $10 million. That's a sign too that there's something in the groundswell for Obama that just isn't going away. And you know, in California, people have been voting since early January. I really believe that if California didn't have that early voting, Obama may have just won it. I believe she won because of a lot of those early votes.
That's true. Yeah, and also this Latino African American split is people are starting to talk about it. They're wondering, do we have a new racism in this country? Is there going to be interethnic conflict that will divide the party? People are a little bit wary of that since Bill Clinton weighed in, and introduced all that controversy. But I think that that's a little bit premature. I think that no doubt there's racism in all groups, but it probably has something more to do with the fact that Hillary's the older candidate, she's more experienced, she's the stable candidate, she harkens back to the earlier period of the 90s, the Bill Clinton era. And also there's something about family dynastic succession in Latin America that's just more common. Think of the Perones and Evita. So I think in that sense, she's going to appeal to the not only to the Latinos, but also to the working class voters. And some of those, by the way, the women, we're not thinking about these. These are the nickel and dime voters, we might call them nickel and dime Democrats. These are poor working class women. They're getting brought into this process in a way which I think is really going to help Clinton. And we haven't analyzed that yet at this point in the race.
Yeah. Now, Paul,
if I could,
yeah, go ahead.
Well, I just want to say that, you know, as we talk about sort of the way this develops, and back to McCain to take that side for a little bit, fascinating that McCain is doing very well in essentially blue states. He won New York and New Jersey and all these states that they'll never, the Republicans cannot win come November. So you have to keep an eye on McCain to see whether he can actually win and will win in other states, but in the South where he's not doing very well. But what I wanted to toss in was, there's a little buzz now going on here. I'm not sure how strong it is, whether McCain as a running mate would pick somebody like Condoleezza Rice, who is our African-American Secretary of State, female, of course, or Colin Powell, looking back to a former Secretary of State, also African-American, and wouldn't that be an interesting way for the Republicans to neutralize this whole moving forward change concept the Democrats right now own?
Now, I wanted to ask you something about Hillary because, Paul, you made reference to this in your opening remarks. Obama seems to have something. You know, he's got charisma, he's younger, he's a great orator, he gets people all hepped up, and there's a buzz around this guy. Hillary, we know, she's like the old news, tried and true maybe, but she's a little old news. Does she have to do something, come up with something, get an idea, get a backer? Does she need a moment, an event, to kind of give her the kind of buzz that this guy's got?
She thought she had it in New Hampshire when she pulled that out because she cried a little bit and said, I found my voice. People like to see an authentic Hillary. Unfortunately, I think the real answer to that, Dan, is that Hillary is too well known of a person. She does not have Obama's oratorical abilities. And so, you know, with Hillary, what you see is what you get. I'll be honest, you know, every time you see her at the podium, you see her sort of pick out eye contact, wave to people. Even that's starting to drive me nuts when you watch her up at the podium. You know, I mean, there's just this routine to what she does. If she's found her voice, she needs to go back, keep it authentic. She needs to work in smaller groups, which is very impossible to do anymore with the number of contests going on. But she does better when she reaches people in smaller groups.
Well, gentlemen, nice talking to you again tonight, and I hope to talk to you again soon. Thank you.
Thanks,
right,
Dan.
Thank you, Dan.
For those of you keeping track of these things, Clinton and Obama will have their next face-off this weekend.